It is really great to be here at the iconic Pinewood Studios, the spiritual home of Britain's film industry. And, you know, the leader of the opposition thinks that if you do a couple of shifts in McDonald's, then you can become working class.
What?
So by that logic, if I keep coming back here, I could be the next James Bond.
Right.
Prime Minister Kier Starmer's been having a tough old time in the 5 months he's been in office. The attempt at humour you just saw came at the start of his latest speech, which Keith denies is a relaunch, but it actually is. This coincidentally comes immediately after one poll has revealed his popularity has tanked quicker than every predecessor since Tony Blair, and another that shows the Tories in the lead, with cheap far-right party reform gaining ground in third. Following earlier announcements about pledges, missions, first steps, and so on that he always inevitably ditches, this week saw the declaration of Labour's plan for change. Something which I'm sure he's bound to come through on, and we definitely won't see him continue with austerity-based Tory policies and a watering down of environmental targets. The 30-minute long speech, which I've just subjected myself to so you don't have to, was mostly comprised of managerial talk, boardroom cliches, and more nosebleed-inducing jokes. I've picked out some of the key points, and for regular viewers of My Left Eye's PMQ's livestream, I'll be revealing how many times the word deliver was spoken as Keith prattled on at length. Let's see what's happening. Amid the uninspiring drone, the speech essentially boiled down to Keith's 6 latest targets, which he says he'll be judged on at the next election, if he lasts that long. First off, a raise in living standards, promising that the country will have the highest rate of growth in the G7. That's not going to happen, as many economic experts have concluded that the last budget will result in a decrease in growth and carrying on with more cuts under the thin veil of so-called difficult decisions, i.e. austerity. We can get out of this mess by taxing billionaires properly, but that's a notion that Keith is bribed to dismiss. Second, building 1.5 million homes. Well, that's unnecessary, as we already have millions of empty properties. It's also spurious, as there was no mention of how many of these new projects, if any, will be for social housing. It's far more likely that these will be in the interest of private property developers and will encourage more landlordism that's one of the main causes of the crisis, not the solution. He also mentioned deregulation in construction, which we all know is a recipe for disaster. Next, ending hospital backlogs to meet the NHS targets that 92% of patients in England wait no longer than 18 weeks for planned treatment. If Keith thinks that a little lickspittle like Wes Streeting is going to bring the NHS back to life, then he's either lying, deluded, or a tragic combination of both. The only thing Wesley has his sights on is greasing his careerist palms as he sells off the NHS. These arbitrary targets won't be met, and he's made no mention of doctors' and nurses' pay. Something which, if they went on strike for, Starmer would come down on them like a Tory ton of bricks.
But shut up, Wesley!
13,000 new police officers, PSCOs and constables. No mention about where the money to fund the recruitment and training will come from, and another target that I can imagine won't be met even if it's not scrapped at the next relaunch. The emphasis on law and order, mixed with anti-immigration rhetoric, is more or less to pander to the right wing, like he did in the House of Commons last week, when he leapt out of his seat to greet Nigel Farage quicker than you can say stop the boats.
Everyone's got it. Now you can got it too. The f***ing audacity. Now in a can.
Increasing the proportion of children ready to learn by the age of 5 to 75%. I'll be straight up honest with you about this one. I haven't got a clue what it's supposed to mean.
What does that mean?
And even if Starmer himself does, he's omitted to tell us or how he's going to achieve whatever it is. It's another arbitrary statement that's supposed to sound like he'll do something about education while dodging issues such as teachers' salaries. Final target, putting the country on track for 95% clean power by 2030. Long-term viewers will know that the climate crisis is a top concern of mine, and I've got absolutely no faith in Keith or Environment Secretary Ed Miliband to deliver the solutions that this country needs. The announcement here is supposed to sound positive, but as the article I showed earlier highlights, this is actually a step back from a previous pledge to transition to 100% clean power. Among other things to consider here is also the fact that while Labour have said that there will be no new licences issued to fossil fuel developers, projects like Rosebank that were granted under the Tories will still go ahead, even though they won't be in operation until long after the 2030 deadline. This simply doesn't make sense, in the same way that Starmer said his plan meant that we can't be beholden to Vladimir Putin for our energy. In case you didn't already know, the amount of natural gas we used to get from Russia was 4%. That's my initial summary of the speech, but I'll be keeping my left eye on the development of the targets, or lack of, in future content, but please let me know what you thought about the speech or my take on it in the comments below. I said earlier that I was keeping tabs on how many times deliver was uttered as I ploughed through the verbal detritus. The grand total was 7 by my reckoning, but the most used word by far was change. In fact, the whole thing pretty much went like this.
Then as sure as night follows day, that will be a sign that we're not serious about delivering change. And I will never do that. The mandate was for change, and change is what we will deliver. The mandate was for change, and change is what we will deliver. Change is what we will deliver. Change is what we will deliver. Change is what we will deliver.
Thanks so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe and thumbs up buttons to help us out on the algorithm. You can now join the channel with a membership for just 99p with some great perks for you to enjoy, including exclusive content and early viewings, plus lots more. And you get to join the list of awesome people who support the channel that you can see on your screen right now. Hit the join button or follow the links in the channel description. If you'd like to make a one-off contribution, then please hit super thanks on the video or follow the link to our Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can help to show solidarity and support the channel for just the price of a tasty hot beverage. All contributions are greatly appreciated. Thanks again everyone. My left eye, be seeing you soon.